All right, hello, my amazing friends from around the world. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to dive into today's market update, and by doing so, we're going to take a step back to see what we were forecasting over here. Around about 14 hours ago, I sent a post out just to say that we're anticipating price to head off into this region. I then updated that just to make sure you guys were protected. Just saying, if we've gone short on this already, put your stop loss over there at the 4,151,400 mark. And if price does break that, then we're seeing an uptrend. So I didn't break it, thankfully, and I did go down $1,000 since the post kind of went out there. So if you had got into that short, then congratulations, you are $1,000 in price change up, which would have been on leverage because you're shorting, and therefore pretty a decent earning for your account this morning. So you're welcome if it's benefited you in any way. But let's talk about the strategy a bit more instead of the actual earnings itself, because for me that's where the magic is. Like the art and the mystics and the magic happen in the strategy. And again, like it's just it blows my mind. Even though I work with this every single day, like it still excites me to no end. It's such a powerful piece of art to have a part of my life every single day, and I'm just grateful that I can get to share that with you. So let's have a look at it. So right here, well, notice at the replay. The replay, we went back to where the post was, I think. Let's go over there, and let's just kind of see what happens as it builds out in this progression, just to kind of catch up with the market as to what it was doing whilst we were out living our lives. Okay, cool. So it came up to this region, it tested the 2/1, came down to the 4/1, said, no, I'm not ready for that, went up to get along the second arc, tested the 1/1, not ready, tested the 2/1 again, got rejected there, came down to the 1/1, wanted to try travel, but I don't think I wanted to go deep enough. So it came here to this 1/1. Now it is where it is right now, to see whether or not it would like to come down into a lower low, because that's what a downtrend is, right? As you can see over here, when you get your higher lower highs and your lower lows, it's in a downtrend. So that's a lower high from that, and this is a lower low from that. So to keep a downtrend, we'll have to see a lower low than that. So if you're familiar with my work and you've gone to YouTube and had a look at the videos there, turning point 8 will form below turning point 6 if we are going to continue a downtrend. Now, it is a bit gradual and boring at the moment. Generally, that happens when we would go into the weekend. Institutional money kind of taps off, of course, and the retail guys are there to kind of to man the battle stations, and their trade desks are kind of sometimes off their cell phone or with the $100 positions, and versus like the millions that go in during the week. So the weekend does quieten down a bit. Not completely always, it's not a rule, but it's just an observation. So right now that kind of does depict what we're looking at right over here. As I said, the price would go down to about that. So if you did get into the short, you would have done so on leverage, because that's what shorting is. Well, you have to kind of get into a leverage styled short if you're going to short this down. And most guys use more than 1x leverage. Like you would have gone at least 5x or 10x. And that 5x and 10x leverage with $1,000 change in price on Bitcoin would have pretty much lined your account up nicely this morning. So if you enjoyed those profits, that's really good, and I'm really happy for you, man. Let's talk about the higher time frame to see what's going to happen next up here. So we got this gradual kind of movement along this line. What I'm going to do is just show you what it looks like to scale your chart. So I've kind of broken that locked scale over there. And what I want to do here is just move price so that the price action itself matches up with the Gann square as best possible. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to lock that in and just kind of neaten it up a little bit. And as you can see, there is, okay, so a slight adjustment over here that's required. And we should see some migration down to this region. We'll obviously keep a close eye around this, on this, to make sure that that's exactly what happens. Because sometimes what may happen is that there is a sneaky turning point that I could have formed, and we could be going the other direction. So we just wait for confirmation on that, but decent earnings regardless of what we've seen over the last 14 hours. Okay, so Let me just move this across just to kind of show you what this little like safety net almost is. This resistance arc looks like when we kind of build it out just a little bit more. So if you put the 1/3 there, it gives a bit more of body, just to kind of show you where the price has been holding out for now, holding into the resistance net. And we're going to see what happens next to see whether or not it drops off. So the next move is kind of a indicative move as to whether or not we are back into an uptrend or the continuation of this downtrend. So obviously stay close to this, and let's have a look at what the markets want for us in the few hours to come. Now, guys, if that's all you're interested in, and you just wanted to see what's happening with the price action and only the market update, then maybe hop off now, have a great day further, and then pop into tomorrow's market update. For those who are Gann enthusiasts, I thought I'd just go over to the Gann this Gann Theory guide I found, and just have a quick overview about what he is about. As there was a comment on my the editor's pick that TradingView highlighted during the week, and one of the guys said that Gann's son said that Gann only made money by selling his courses or something like that. So I don't know where the hell that one person who couldn't prove that got that information from. But for everyone else, and for those who don't know much about Gann, let's have a quick read as to what he is about, and why you should maybe just look into him and his work and what he's done for the Trading Society. Okay, so here's Mr. Gann, dapper and handsome as he was, awesome haircut, very stern trader look on his face, maybe meditating in this photograph a little bit to the higher realms, getting all this amazing information downloaded into him. Okay, so just a few points on him. Gann's the most successful trader. Okay, this is all relative to whatever success means to you, but in most guys' books, I mean, especially in my book, by far the most successful trader, just because of all of his, not his earnings only, but everything that he's done about the guy. Like, he went into some deep research and he brought that research to students. So overall, in my opinion, the best trader of all time. Okay, so he wrote 10 fantastic books. These are a little bit difficult to decrypt on your own. He wrote in parables, so he made it a bit tough for guys to just kind of understand what he was doing. So I know that he had a few students whilst he was around, and they have their interpretation of his work. So if you want to search the internet for that, you got to dig deep for it, but it is out there. So if not, just come through to me and we can obviously show you what Gann's work is and how it's applied to Bitcoin and to crypto. And yeah, he's an incredible analyst who ruled the Wall of Wall Street for 50 years. Okay, so that's a big feat. Visited India and Egypt. So both India and Egypt are very mystical when it comes to sacred geometrical shapes. I mean, if you just think of India and all those beautiful patterns that are up on the walls and in their clothing and so on. And Egypt, we all know about Egypt, about how it lines up with the stars. The great pyramid of Giza is a geometrical wonder on how it all comes together, and the cycles and the seasons and the resonance and so on and so forth. So he left Wall Street and traveled the world to further understand his education in the universal laws and such. And obviously, like, Egypt's got all that ancient Egyptian information about how the ancient Egyptian gods used to live, and the Thoth and Amun-Ra and Isis and all the gods and deities, and how they use the planets and the stars and so forth to run their cycles and to benefit their crops and all the rest of it. So he went into there and did all that research, and I really respect him because I don't know anyone else who's actually done that personally. Okay, cool. So his trade accuracy was 92% in 1909. So this is before everyone had an iPhone and a MacBook and all that. So out of, that is, oh my gosh, I just saw this now for the first time. Out of 286 trades, he had a 92% accuracy with 22 losses. I mean, the losses are very, tight, I'm sure. Like, it wasn't like liquidation losses. So that in itself is outstanding. In 1909, where it's all hand-drawn charts and such. Absolutely brilliant. Congrats, man. Lent money to this guy, famous, blah, blah, blah. Okay, made $50 million before he died in 1950. And he wrote the first ever book on the share markets called The Truth of Stock Tape. Okay, cool. So what is the core of Gann Theory? Gann Theory is used to predict the future movement of markets. What I want you to highlight or focus on here is he's got the forecasting models down. And that's why we went to like astrophysics and that kind of thing, because the planets move in cycles, right? And I don't know if I've got it open. Let's just see if I can pop open. Here we go. So the planets will move. Let me just kind of just show you what's going down over the last little while. So they all move around. I think we've got some. Who popped in here? All right, Mercury joined Uranus for a little bit, and then it dropped out again. So they obviously move, and this is a piece of software that's not connected to the internet. It's a standalone piece of software, which means that it doesn't rely on information out there to update it, as it's fixed. The information, the cycles, the aspects, all that information is fixed, and you can go into the future with this days and months and years in advance, just because of the planetary cycles and obviously their effect that they have on the planet and the ecosystem. Again, just don't mean to ramble, but as I speak, points kind of come through. If you just consider Jupiter alone or Saturn, Jupiter is like 318 times the size of planet Earth. So if you think about the moon and how the moon goes around, like literally raises the ocean and what influence it has on us, like a planet that's 318 times us, that's in our galactic system and relatively close to us, is obviously going to have some effect on us as well. And all the other planets, Venus, Mars, Mercury, everyone's got their own impact on us in their unique way. So from a fixed perspective, Gann went out and tried to find something that would be able to give us a forecast of the future. He was big into equinoxes and the key points of the year, equinoxes and solstices. So like use the planets to forecast, because that's what you want. You want to look into the future, and what you have in the future, for example, is planetary alignment and sacred geometrical shapes and time cycles, natural cycles. Sine waves has an element there to play as well. You can see my sine wave up on that chart, and so on and so on and so on. So he went out and found forecasting models, not to tell the past, guys. If you want to look at most of the other guys out there, they're using something like the RSI, moving averages, indicators and oscillators and strategies that pretty much tell you what's happening now and what's happened before now. What good is that when you're trying to make money to buy now and sell later? You know what I'm saying? So that information is kind of redundant to us, and that's why we go to forecasting models and probability theorems, which is where my work obviously stems from, to forecast the future so we can profit from it in the right way. So for those who are very hypercritical, and if you go to the charts and they've got an RSI up there or a moving average or whatever it is that they have on their charts that have been based off of the typical stock market thinker mentality, like you got to know that you're not going to be successful with their trading. They could hit some wins, but more often than not, they're going to have a very shady win-loss ratio and all the rest of it. So going back to the Gann, we're looking at forecasting the future, and that's why you went so deep into natural laws, the cycles, the squares. There's so much power in the square, guys. I can't even begin to tell you. Triangles and so on, but the right triangles, not the nonsense that you see online with the rising wedge and the descending triangle. That kind of stuff doesn't work. It's senseless. It's just a bunch of guys who don't understand the market properly, and they're just putting that information together to try and make visual sense of what they see, because they don't really understand what's going on. So but when you do actually understand how this works, the circle, man, like I could tell you right now, there's so much power. So evidently this is a circle, and I know I'm bouncing around, guys, but we're just trying to hang out and chatting, so don't get too offended if I haven't got a whiteboard behind me and we're talking about this as if we're in a boardroom. We're just chatting, hanging out. It's Saturday, for goodness sake. So this evidently is a circle. These arcs here are a quadrant of the circle. And when we look at the resonance behind the circle, And you consider that the universe is made up of three things according to Nikola Tesla: energy, frequency, and vibration. You can see here that there's like almost like these emitted sound waves through the chart coming at you. And then if you go to the Gann square of 9, like I said before, if you imagine it from above, you're looking at like a pyramid. That also has this quadrant. So there's a lot of sacred geometrical math that is at play in the market that guys who are limited and primitive don't really see. But for those like myself who would go over and beyond this kind of stuff, it becomes very obvious. And then, have your mind blown because of everything else that you come across while studying this kind of stuff. So it's really, really good stuff. Anyway, so the Gann theory is based on relationship to price and time. Guys, if you can get this down, your trading career is going to be 10 times better than you could have ever imagined without it. And I know that from personal experience. We've got the mathematical calculation of how to square off price and time. So if you want to learn about that, obviously come through to us. It's some really, really powerful things that we have with our strategy. Anyway, so Gann forecasting method and geometry, and again, so sacred geometry, as you just saw, the circles, the squares, the triangles, massive, 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 so super important. And astronomy and ancient mathematics. Time cycles exist in nature and then exist in the market too. Such beautiful words. Oh my gosh, I'm reading this kind of for the first time, so just thought I'd wing it to help the guys that don't know about Gann, and we're just going to go down with it. But that's so powerful. Check this out. Go to tradingfuel.com, Gann Theory, and just read it out for yourself. You'll see a lot of great information here. And the grand square of 9, as Eamon spoke about, what's really cool, there's a cardinal and your ordinal crosses, and then he kind of does that spiral outwards. So that'll work well with the planetary alignments if you do it from a base point of 1. We do it from a base point of the low of the year and then build it out now, so outwards for us, which works really well with Bitcoin. So what am I talking about there real quick? So this is the base point of 1, and over here we're using the low of the year instead. So instead of using 1, we use 27700. Okay, so without going on, you can go check this information out for yourself. Some really, really powerful stuff. I'm going to sign off now because it's Saturday and we've got a pool party happening, and guys are going to get nice and merry and festive, and we'll have some fun with my family. So I hope you do the same. It's family day. Go spend some time out there with the ones you love, and let's get back to this tomorrow. For those who may profit off of this, that's amazing. For everyone who's joining this movement right now, guys, it's such an honor to have you a part of this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments or reach out to me on the direct messages, and I'm happy to answer those. Okay, cool. That's it for today. Have a good one. Ciao for now.